there YouTube, Doc's Motorcycle Service, rawr, 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 rawr. Welcome back to the garage. Hey, I want to do a little sidebar video right quick on a bulb, and the bulb is commonly referred to as an 1157. This is an interesting bulb. It has been around for a long time. It's been used in automotive purposes, motorcycles, homemade stuff, but what makes it interesting is that it's a 2-element bulb. I am going to try to press this in here far enough for you to see it. If not, I think you can. You can see the 2 elements there. You got one high one on this side and one low one on this side. And I'll pull a snap of this or either take a picture of it so you can look at it more closely while we're talking about it. But what makes this bulb interesting is that it is utilized on a lot of motorcycles. 2 elements. That means it does 2 things. The bulb has a brass bottom and it has 2 prongs on it. And these are just locking hubs so you get it in the right way. And the reason I say that you get it in the right way is you see these 2 little, God, I don't know what you call them right here. I guess this is where the filament, which is what these are, comes out and touches down here. And then, for example, one side of the filament might come to this prong and the other side of the filament would mount to this brass. Well, when you put this into the socket the proper way, and it'll only go in one way because in the socket one slot hole is lower than the other one. When you put it in there and turn it just right, these 2 contacts on the bottom line up with the 2 contacts in the socket, thus energizing this. The brass acts as a ground. And you might say, well, why is that important? Well, again, a lot of people don't understand this, but a 2-element bulb serves 2 purposes. For example, if you have a single tail light lens on your motorcycle, one of these elements is going to be the running light, the light that stays on all the time. The other one is going to be the one that gets brighter when you do something, like step on the brake pedal or pull in the brake handle. They're also utilized as running lights turn signals, both on the rear of the bike and on the front of the bike. So it's important to know that when you're wiring these up, which is which. We'll call this an 1157 bulb explained sidebar video. How about that? So the reason I mention this is because we're in the wiring harness video 7-4, I believe, and we're getting ready to put the spots and the turn signals back on the front of Hot Donna. And as I'll show you right here in as I'll show you right here on the table, here is the mount for all that and why it's important to know. On an 86 or an early model Heritage Softail all the way up into the late 90s and maybe even the early 2000s, this is what your front turn signal running light looks like on the front of the bike. Well, what I've done over here is I have taken that off so I could see that bulb and show it to you. And as you can see, right there is your 2 brass contacts that meet up with the 2 contacts on the bottom of the bulb. And as I think maybe you might be able to see this, let me go to the other side. If you can see back in here, this groove on the back side, see how much lower that slot is back there than it is up here? That corresponds with the low contact on the bulb there and the high contact bulb on the here. If you don't have them in the right places, they won't go in. So if I tried to put this bulb in like this, it wouldn't work. But you'll notice that if I put it in this way, the 2 contacts on the bulb are left and right, but the contacts and the socket are the other way, opposite of it. So by putting it in this way, pressing it down and turning it, Now those two contacts on the bottom of the bulb have lined up with those two contacts in the socket. Now you may say, why is that important? Well, I'm getting ready to show you. Those two contacts there in the bottom of the socket come out of this wiring harness here. Comes out the wiring harness, goes over to a plug-in. Well, you're saying to yourself, again, why is that important? The reason that's important is because of this. 2-element bulb. The dim side is always on when you turn your ignition switch on. But when you activate something like the turn signal or the brake light, the other side of the bulb gets brighter. Well, as you'll see in the picture I'm getting ready to put up, the dash that came off of Hot Donna, it was a hot mess the way it was wired. And we're trying in this video to take her back to the way she's supposed to be and have it wired correctly so we have proper voltage going to everything. So now, here's why that's important on this side. Let's take a look at that spotlight turn signal rig again. For the purposes of this test, remember, this is all grounded to the frame, which is eventually grounded to the battery. So we've got our ground cable run over here. We've got a jumper wire coming over here. And we have a 3-wire harness for the left side of the bike. And we have a 3-wire harness for this side of the bike. Well, I marked these 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, and 6 when I took it apart. But now that we've replaced the dash, those doesn't mean anything to me. So what I need to do is determine which one of these is the low beam or the weak side of the bulb, the weak element, and which one is the brighter. Because the dim side or weak side is going to be tied into the wiring harness for the running light, and the bright side is going to be tied in for the turn signal. I'm going to try to do this at an angle, YouTube, that doesn't blind you. But don't look directly at the light. So what we'll do is we'll come right here and we'll start with number 4. And we're going to touch it. Okay. Well, that's kind of bright, ain't it? Alright. Let's try number 5. But that's brighter. See the difference? 4, 5. 4, 5. So now we know that number 4 is the low beam or the weak element, and number 5 is the brighter element, and of course number 6 is going to be the spot. Be sure and check out the Facebook page. We're getting a little activity over there, not a lot, but this is going to conclude the Sidebar 1157 bulb. Oh, one other thing. There's always a Columbo. Hey, one other thing. I got another question. Y'all remember Columbo? If not, you're too young. The bulb I showed you was an 1156 2-element bulb. They make an 1157 2-element bulb. They make an 1156 that looks just like it, but it's only a 1-element bulb. So if you find yourself in a situation where you have a brake light and 2 turn signals, if you go in there and one of them's burnt out or it's not lighting up altogether, it could be that it's a single element bulb and those turn signals don't also run as running lights or marker lights. More modern motorcycles and automotives, and this one's blowed, this is a 3157, and the only difference is the plug-in. It's just a little bit different plug-in, and they make a 3156, which is a single element. Now this one's blowed. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's 2 elements in there. But again, this isn't for master mechanics. This is just for people who want to have a better understanding of how to turn some wrenches on their motorcycle and save a little money. I don't know about you, but whenever I can save money, that's something else for the garage. That's another piece of chrome for the bike. That's a little bit of money for a trip down the road or whatever. So thanks for coming by the garage. Hope this helped out a little bit. Again, check out the Facebook page. Give us a thumbs up when you're done watching. like the video, subscribe to see the next series, and that's it. Appreciate you coming by the garage, and